Sevi and Evie talk global compliance, the podcast where navigating the complex world of compliance becomes an exciting journey. Today, we will discuss how managers can help create culture of compliance and why they may be hesitant to participate in the ethics and compliance program. And sometimes you said, Sevi, they will say it's HR responsibility or it's compliance responsibility. Why do we have to do that? Because we understand that they're overloaded with many things. So I want to talk about how do we get them to become, in the way, one of us? How do we get them to be the culture spreader, for lack of a better term? And it has to become part of who they are internally. And it would not be an extra step. It would not be something else than compliance and sales or compliance and finance, compliance and HR. It will become one thing. We want managers and really everyone in the company to take a part of the compliance program, take responsibility of the compliance program, because the code of conduct and ethics, it's everyone's responsibility. Managers just have a little more responsibility because they have to lead with compliance. In here in United States, there is a great saying for children and parents that says monkey see and monkey do. And I think it's very silly, but if you think about it, it is the same. Managers should be mindful the things they say. Managers should be mindful the things they do, how they do things, what they let slide, right? Because people see it and watch it. And if they see someone at the top not following, not doing, get away with things, what is it going to look like for everybody else? So managers have to really be mindful. And we have some great examples of what had recently happened. We cannot not talk about the Coldplay Jumbotron, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes,
that was a perfect example of conflict of interest.
yes.
And how did these two leaders think it was okay to do that and not really comment on their personal lives? But to me, when it comes to the organization, if you have two leaders who are getting away with such egregious violation of their policy, I'm presuming they're violating their harassment policy. They're probably conflict of interest policy violating, probably violating code. People around knew and observed if it was okay here, what did that mean for the rest of the organization? What was that company culture's part of? What we want to do here is create an organization that is where the culture is mindful of ethics, compliance, and integrity. And what does that mean? I had created this program I call the Integrity Playbook, where we speak to the managers, where we lay out what it means to be the ethical leader and how do you get there, and really what is the expectation. And there's also some deliverables. It's whole 360 kind of a plan. Boiling down, the expectation is you're leading by example. You have a conversations with your employees about anything with ethics, compliance, and integrity. So the compliance team will provide you with the materials that you could use. You could also use some of your own, but the compliance team will save you some work because we expect you have other responsibilities to manage, but they will provide you with materials that
Yeah.
choose you will be free to choose from what feels right, what feels good, what feels relevant. You have those conversations with your employees. Now, the more you have those conversations, more questions will arise, because that's just natural. When you hear something, it sparks ideas. You will listen to those questions, you'll listen to the concerns, you'll listen to the comments, and then you can take that information and we will teach you on what to do you hear something, how to act on it, whether it's something you can solve on your own, whether you need to go to HR, whether you need to contact legal. And we will be also tracking and taking notes, A, of the conversations that you're having, and B, of the different questions, areas, issues that are coming up so that we can then mitigate the risk. It has to do with figuring it out what the issues are when they're small issues before they become big issues. And all of that would be as a part of the solution, not an additional responsibility. It should just be, this should be very natural. It may feel unnatural or awkward at the beginning because you're not used to it, but as you go with the time, it will be feeling very natural. It's almost like you go to the gym and you start exercising like I just have, and I feel my muscles hurting. That's part of, there's going to be some tension, but we will work through it. We, as the compliance team, will hold your hand so that you feel the most comfortable, and it will become a part of the process. And eventually, 6 months down the road, when we do our check-ins, you will have a great experience in talking about ethics compliance, and you will realize that it's not that difficult to have those conversations. And sometimes they could be fun and engaging and entertaining conversations. I never thought I could have so many conversations about ethics and compliance, but once you understand it, it is so easy to do, and you see it in your everyday life. You will look at it and you will come up with solutions and ideas. I know we talked about, I had wrote an article about buying a car, and
Yes.
that experience was from compliance perspective and why I made choices that I made, because the result was I wanted a good car for my daughter to drive. I wanted it to be safe, but I also had a budget in mind and certain expectations in between. So how do we do that? Well, my husband spent time on research, right? Researching vehicles, researching places. We went to see a couple places, and the one place we went to was a small dealer place. And the car, it was interesting because the car, they add on prices for things that we know they didn't do. For example, cleaning and maintenance of the car, they added $3,500, and the car
Yes.
was not clean or not dirty. So I questioned it. And they're
Yes.
like, oh no, it was done. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. So guess what? We didn't buy the car from that place. We bought it from a place that was reputable. And all of that we're talking about, it leads to a good reputation,
Yes.
not only externally for the world, but internally. And I can tell you, the car, when we bought the car from that specific dealer, even the employees, you could feel and you could tell they were all aligned with the compliance program. They were doing everything and they felt content being there. It's like, it's the reputation. And I think when we create the compliance program, the integrity playbook for our managers, that is really the vision and the goal, is not only for the company as a whole to be a great performer, but for the employees really stand behind it and treat it and value it as such. And that's the way, that this is the reason why we really want to get there, right? Because we
Yes.
all we all as employees want to work in the place where we feel valued, where we feel respected, and we,
Yes.
most of us, want to do a good job and want to be proud of the work that we're doing.
Yes. Everything starts with the values, and the reaction is like reflection of the culture.
Yes.
And just receive and follow the rules, negotiated, had a conversation, long or short, whatever. And sometimes I want to add to your sayings about the teachers in the US schools. The similarity I see in a talk with the managers when I had in experience. They are really similar to the teachers when they walk into a classroom and they consistently face unprepared, disengaged, and resistant students. The same is applicable in a subordinates, employees, but it's not at a failure, it's further signal to improve, to care, to raise, and to be constantly in a communication with a support function, HR, COC level, compliance, in order to understand, to see it as a goal, as a KPI.
Yes.
For that reason, maybe in the next podcast, we'll speak about the measurement, evaluation, and incentives, because when you define the KPIs for these ENC responsibilities, everybody care about this.
Right. The leaders want to see numbers, right? But the people want to see that they're being taken care of. And we talked about compliance functions, and even managers by default need to talk about this and need to learn how to sell these ideas, right? And how
Yes.
you do it is when you touch people's emotions. So I think everyone should be interested in working in an environment that is fair and it helps them grow as people, that is very supportive of the employees. I think that's a great
Yes.
vision to have. And if you can reduce a lot of these, what I call noise, like discrimination and harassment and favoritism, maybe the bribery, corruption, all these different things that you have to worry about, if you can tackle that when issues are small, then you have the opportunity to grow and you can grow
Yes.
even more. But part of it also, looping back the managers in there and the employees, is you have to talk to them like people, not at them, right?
Yeah.
And tone at the top is important, but entire program has to be the compliance 360, where we really tackle it from every single direction. But managers, I think we spent a lot of time talking about managers because managers are, we have in a way covered the biggest population of overseeing employees. So that's why we spend
Yes.
a lot of time talking about managers. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because the tuning effects come from the mid-level management, for example.
yes.
For that reason, I called in my experience when I started the project tune in the middle, because everything starts maybe as a continuation of tone from the top, start with that mid-tuning effect.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's really hard to give these responsibilities to the employees, and when they don't know how to do that responsibility, how to manage it. For that reason, we have some mid-tuning effect in order to bridge the tone from the top and the bottom line.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. So I am really excited because we are working together on creating the program in your company. So
Yes.
I can't wait for us to begin.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think it is
Yeah.
going to be great. And if I were you at this time, I would take a snapshot of what the organization looks like and make a journal entry of your observations now, and then make them after a couple times of the buzz that you hear, and then we can come back and say, okay, how was the response? Because my feeling is that the response in your company is, when we start having those conversations, the beginning may be like, what is this? But eventually they will
Yes.
come on our side because we will talk to them at their level and not talk at them like, this is what you have to do. The
Yes.
conversation has to be changed to, this is what you want to do. There was a gentleman who passed since that I like a lot of his quotes, and his name was Wayne Dyer, and he would say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Because
Yes. Right.
it's hard to put thoughts around it, but when you look at something, it's maybe like the a glass half full, glass half empty kind of scenario. Some people see it as full and some people see it as empty, and we just have to find a way to speak to your managers in the way that they see it half full, and really
Yes.
the program about it's having a conversation. And I've said this many times, companies generally do not spend time with employees or with managers to explain and lay out the expectation and talk about why they're hesitant. It doesn't happen. Come to work as a manager, they get pushed in, they take some required training, onboarding training, but they don't really get talked about the expectation of ethics and compliance training. So I think what we're doing is I want to say, revolutionary in the way that we're starting something new and having these conversations. And I think companies will follow, and that would be like the next level of compliance is creating place for the managers and having those conversations. So I'm super excited. And on future podcasts, we will talk about our experience with how this works, but I think it's great. I'm very excited.
Yes, it will be really great because we have to create a new constructive way, because it's not that one perspective is right and the other wrong, but
Yeah.
one may be more constructive.
Yeah.
So I know that many people, even managers, are tired somehow, but we are here as a compliance professionals. Just we need them to reset, to rebuild the trust. We are here just to help them to do. The piece of how is really important, and we're trying to fix the how piece.
Yes. I think you have to have those conversations and you have to acknowledge it.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge their struggles. You can't just pile up more work. You can't just give them a 30-minute training that will cover the things that we talk about. The difference is having those face-to-face conversations and working through some of the issues and laying it out in bits and pieces. And like I said, we're not doing a quick diet, it's a lifestyle change. That's what
Yeah.
we're achieving with this program and having those conversations. So believe it will go over very well, and lots of learning from them, from us. And then there's going to be a lot of learning for your organization, because maybe they weren't comfortable having some of these conversations with people who are internally in the company, but they will have those conversations with me. So I think it's lots of learning, and the expectation is that we listen, and as far as we can adjust things, it has to be fluid. It's not one way. It is a collective kind of success to be had, not Sevi or Evie's like, oh, this is the way it has to be. We listen, we adjust, and we keep the conversation going, which is important.
Yes, yes.
Great.
Main perception here just to change the mindset, and not just to talk about the values, principles, but demonstrate how you mentioned that integrity is being understood, lived, and reinforced across the leadership. So this provides transparent, measurable approach to the culture. This is not just intentions, but outcomes. Even having this, you mentioned toolkit, 360 integrity toolkit, which we are planning to apply in a telco company. But this is part of the leadership training for potential one planning. But the measurement and the accountability, we want to tie it to our internal compliance measurement mechanism, like ethics and compliance forum, where we'll just discuss the dashboard, like the progress of integrity toolkit implemented by our managers. Because this will not be like just a couple of sessions, introduction, and everybody understand what they're expecting for, or what we expect from them. But this will be also the toolkit that will create for them the room, the space where they will be at the end of the story accountable.
Right.
And every actions on an ENC leadership at the company should really lead to the forum's dashboard to demonstrate how the approach was and how the approach will change, and what will be actions for keep the business in a continued way, in a proper and in an ethical manner way, and to increase the responsibility, and also to be a part of an important role in the shaping of this culture again, reshaping, revamping, whatever you call it.
Yep. Exactly. That's where, and while you were speaking, I just thought it really starts actually all the way at the top in order
Yes.
to get a support for this kind of program and this kind of culture change, you need a support at the top. So at the board of directors level, and I recently spoke about it in my new article that it was just published yesterday, where I believe in order for the boards to have a good oversight and understanding of the compliance program, somebody from ethics and compliance need to take a part on the board.
Yes.
And I think that's the way it should be going forward. Tom Fox had said that 10 years ago, and I don't know that the needle moved so much. So I think we have to continue the conversation that in order for programs like yours get to be spread across the many different companies, there has to be a good support for ethics and compliance program, valuable ethics and compliance program at the top level, not just from the risk mitigation perspective, because we have those, right? But when we are really considering culture as a part of the equation, there has to be done something more than worried about the risk mitigations. Risk mitigation got us here. We have the policies, the code, hotline, and those kind of tools for the program. But now it's really the next step is to invite and include culture in that part of the process. So we will end our conversation on this note, and I'm excited to have a next one soon as we are learning about the activities and initiatives at your company, and we'll check in to see how it's going, and we'll let everyone know. So thank you so much for
Thank you very much,
this
Evie,
morning
for
being
having
here.
me
I
this
am very,
session.
yes, always a lovely conversation. I love speaking on ethics and compliance.
Yeah, it's like endless.